This is the Volvo Amazon, a car so ugly by its own company's early standards that one of Volvo's own founders reportedly looked at it and said it was too pretty to even be a Volvo. And that one sentence almost killed what would become the single most important safety invention in automotive history before it ever left the factory. Because hiding inside this unassuming Swedish sedan from 1956 is the origin story of the exact seatbelt sitting across your chest right now in your own car. And if this project had died in that boardroom the way it nearly did, that seatbelt might not exist in its current form today, which is not an exaggeration for YouTube. It's a documented engineering lineage. So let's go back to where it almost fell apart. Volvo, at this point, is not the brand you know today. It's small, regional, fighting for survival against manufacturers 10 times its size, still leaning on an older, boxier model to keep the lights on, and the man they hand the future of the company to is 26 years old. A rookie named Jan Vilsgaard, with no track record, just a sketch pad, and an obsession with proving he belongs in that room. And if you've ever been the underdog handed a job too big for your resume, this is your story too. The kind of pressure where every sketch you make isn't just a design choice. It's a bet on whether the company you work for still has a future at all. A weight most 26-year-olds in any industry never have to carry, let alone one working with almost no safety net if the gamble fails. What Vilsgaard draws for the Amazon doesn't look Swedish at all. It has American boldness borrowed from a Kaiser he once saw sitting in a Gothenburg harbor. Italian curve work nobody expected from a Nordic factory. British restraint holding the whole shape together, and underneath all of it, a completely new kind of body construction for Volvo. A smooth, three-box pontoon shape, where the fenders melt directly into the body instead of standing apart from it the way older cars did. It shouldn't work. And yet it works. And that's exactly the problem. Because when Volvo's own leadership sees the finished shape, the reaction isn't celebration, it's suspicion, since a Volvo in their minds is supposed to be plain, dependable, almost deliberately unattractive, because unattractive feels honest, feels safe. And this car looks like it's trying to seduce you, which terrifies the old guard. Picture spending years designing a car, finally finishing it, and having the first real reaction from the people who matter most be, "We're not sure we even want this." That's exactly where the Amazon sits, approved, but barely, doubted, but moving forward anyway. And the question hanging over the entire first act of this story is simple. Does the beauty everyone's nervous about end up saving the Amazon? Or sinking it? Late summer, 1956. No flashy metropolis unveiling, just a modest Swedish dealer event. Low-key, almost anticlimactic, a four-door saloon rolled out in a two-tone paint scheme in front of a small, skeptical crowd. And then the orders start coming in. Not a trickle but a flood. Over 2,000 orders inside 24 hours. A number nobody inside Volvo had planned for, budgeted for, or believed possible. And suddenly the executives who questioned the shape are scrambling to keep up with demand for the shape. Because the rookie was right, and the room was wrong. Even the name almost didn't survive the launch, because Volvo wanted to call it the Amazon, after the legendary warrior women of Greek mythology, only to discover a German motorcycle manufacturer had already registered that exact name, forcing an awkward compromise where the car kept its poetic name at home in Sweden, while every export market got a flat, forgettable number instead. A tiny bureaucratic stumble that feels almost funny compared to everything else riding on this car's success. And yet even that small conflict says something about how much identity mattered to a company that was, on paper, supposed to be building nothing but plain, practical transportation. But here's the thing about the Amazon that almost every retelling gets wrong. they stop here. They treat the design win as the ending. And it isn't even the real story, because 3 years later, in 1959, Volvo does something so quiet that most Amazon owners at the time barely registered it. And it's the actual reason this car earned a permanent place in automotive history. Engineers inside the company have been working on a completely new way to restrain a human body in a crash. Not the simple lap belt everyone else is using. The kind that could actually cause internal injuries in a hard enough collision, but a diagonal strap across the chest combined with the lap belt, a Y shape that spreads crash force across the strongest parts of the skeleton instead of the soft organs underneath. And it works. It works so well that Volvo now has a decision in front of them that could make them one of the richest car companies on Earth, or one of the most quietly significant, because they now hold the single most effective piece of automotive safety technology of the century. Think about every other major safety milestone in the decades before this one. Airbags still years away. Crumple zones barely theorized. Most manufacturers treating a crash as something you survive purely through luck or the thickness of the sheet metal around you. And into that landscape walks a restraint system so simple in concept that it almost feels obvious in hindsight. And yet, nobody else had committed to engineering it properly, tested it rigorously, and built it directly into a production car as standard equipment rather than an expensive optional extra reserved for the wealthy. And the obvious move, the move any rational competitor would make, is to patent it tightly, license it carefully, and charge every single competitor on the planet for the privilege of keeping their own customers alive. Instead, they give it away for free to every other car manufacturer on Earth. No royalties, no exclusivity, no competitive advantage protected. A financially reckless decision by every normal corporate standard, and one of the most consequential humanitarian decisions in industrial history. And estimates suggest that single choice has contributed to saving well over 1 million lives in the decades since. A number so large, it's almost impossible to hold in your head while sitting in a car seat that owes its safety to it. Think about that for a second. Because most inventions we celebrate in industrial history get celebrated for making money, for cornering a market, for building an empire around a single clever idea. And this one gets remembered for the opposite reason, for the deliberate choice to let the idea belong to everyone. And that inversion is genuinely rare in the history of engineering, rare enough that most people who drive a car every single day have absolutely no idea it happened at all. No idea that the strap resting across their shoulder right now traces back to a company that could have kept it locked behind a patent wall and chose, instead, to hand it to the entire world for nothing. And now, the whole story reorganizes itself in your head, doesn't it? Because the Amazon was never actually a story about a car being pretty or ugly. It was the same company, twice, choosing purpose over profit. Once by trusting a young designer's instinct over the boardroom's fear, and once by giving away a fortune because it would save lives. And from here, the Amazon doesn't just survive, it explodes, crossing into the American market under that different, flatter numeric name after the trademark dispute, running in production for 14 years across 2-door, 4-door, and wagon versions, even spawning a limited, high-performance 2-door variant built in the late 1960s that borrowed its engine from Volvo's own sports car and became, decades later, one of the most sought-after collector versions of the entire lineup. And by the time the final Amazon rolled off the line in 1970, more than 660,000 units had been built. A staggering number for a company that had once been fighting just to stay relevant in its own domestic market. A regional Swedish manufacturer becomes a globally trusted name built on exactly 2 words almost nobody else in the industry could claim at the time: safety and durability. And it's worth pausing on how strange that positioning was for the era. Because in the late 1950s and through the 1960s, The entire global car industry was obsessed with horsepower, tail fins, chrome, speed records, the language of aggression and status. And here was a small Nordic company quietly building its entire identity around the opposite instinct, around the idea that the most impressive thing a car could do wasn't go fast. It was protect the people inside it. And that contrarian bet, made decade after decade while louder brands chased flash, is exactly why the Volvo name still carries that same reputation today, long after the last Amazon left the factory floor. And once regulators worldwide eventually made three-point belts mandatory equipment, that free patent didn't just protect Volvo customers, it rewired the safety architecture of every car built after it. Padded dashboards designed to reduce injury on impact, reinforced door and body structures, a safety-first design philosophy that's now so normal, so baked into every economy car, every family sedan, every SUV on the road today, that you don't even notice it exists. The same way you don't notice air until someone points out you're breathing it. So next time you get into any car, any brand, anywhere in the world, and you pull that diagonal strap across your chest without thinking twice, you are physically touching the legacy of the Volvo Amazon, a car once called too pretty to be a Volvo, designed by a 26-year-old nobody fully trusted yet, saved by a company that chose to give away the one invention that could have made it rich instead. And that's not a small detail. That might be one of the most significant unsung inventions of the modern era, quietly outranking a lot of flashier technology we celebrate constantly online, because it doesn't announce itself. It doesn't trend. It just works, silently, every single day, in the background of billions of ordinary car rides. Which raises an uncomfortable question worth sitting with. How many other breakthroughs in history were almost killed in a boardroom by people who couldn't see past the surface? Buried because someone in a position of power decided too different meant too risky, and never got the second chance the Amazon somehow did. A second chance it only got because a handful of people inside that company kept pushing anyway.